What up, guys? Hope you're doing well. Wanted to show you just a quick video on strings that you need to be strumming in the key of C. So I made a lesson on strings you should be strumming in the key of D and in the key of G. So this is a really important lesson because as I mentioned in some of my other lessons, in the D strings you need to strum in the key of D, and strings you should be strumming in the key of G. If you have the right chord formation, but you're strumming the wrong strings, man, it could just sound absolutely terrible and totally ruin kind of what your, not only what it sounds like, but your morale and your, confidence. Like, dude, why is this not sounding the way it should? I have everything where it needs to be. So super important lesson for beginners and intermediate players. This is something that I didn't even learn for, I don't know, maybe 4, 5, 6, 7 years into playing acoustic. So, I'm going to show you in the key of C which strings we should be strumming for each chord. So, I have a lesson on these beginner chords in the key of C. I'll put a link up top and down below. I'm not going to go through where your fingers need to be for each chord. So you can reference that video if you need help. So just to show you what strings we need to strum on the chords. So the chords we have that we need for the key of C is just our C major chord. We have our F chord. We have our G chord. We have the A minor chord. We have a D minor chord. We have, I think a G over B. You can do it a couple of different ways. And then we have a C over E. Sometimes you might need an E minor, but it's I think it's pretty rare in this key. So let me walk you through each chord, what we need to be strumming and or picking for each chord. So we'll start with the C chord. The C chord is the 1 chord. So for this chord, you're strumming the bottom 5 strings, because the bass note is this ring finger on the A string. So bottom 5. Usually what I do, because I don't want to intentionally feel like, oh, I just have to hit the bottom 5 strings when I'm strumming, I'll usually just kind of mute this top low E string out with either my thumb, or I'll kind of bump this ring finger into that string. That way, I can just go at it full steam ahead and not even worry about intentionally having to hit the bottom 5 strings. So that's going to be your C chord. The F chord, easiest way to do it, just bring your middle and your ring finger down 1 string. So the strings you need to strum for this chord is just the bottom 4. If you catch that A string in there every once in a while, that's fine. But ideally, you should be muting that A string out with your ring finger, or just really being intentional about strumming those bottom 4 strings. If you wanted to add in the true F bass note, you could wrap your thumb on the 1st fret of that low E string. Sometimes I like to play this F2 chord. It sounds really nice. And if you were doing this, you would strum all 6 strings. So that's your F chord. The G chord strum all 6, all the strings. Your A minor chord, you're going to be strumming the bottom 5 because the bass note of this A minor chord is that A string, the second one from the top. So, and again on this one, if you didn't want to be like, I intentionally, like consciously, I can only strum the bottom 5. If you wanted to just kind of rest your thumb, you know, on this low E string, then you could, and mute it out, then you could just play it. You could kind of play it and strum it a little more freely. So that's the A minor chord. Sometimes you'll need a G over B chord. You can do a G over B a couple of different ways. You can do it, you know, like this. You can do it like this. You can do it like that. A couple of different ways you can do it. Any of the ways you do it, this B here, that note, the 5th string up, so the A string, or the 2nd string from the top, that's your bass note. So we want to strum the bottom 5 strings on that one. And again, usually what I do, I just kind of bump my ring finger or whatever finger I have on that A string, and I usually just kind of bump it into that low E string and mute it out, so that way I can just kind of like play it freely and not worry too much about it. So that would be your G over B, and then I think let's see, 2 more chords. We have a D minor, and for this one we're just we want to strum the bottom 4 strings because the bass note for this chord is the D, which is our 4th string from the top, or I mean 4th string from the bottom, or the 3rd string from the top. So we want to do the bottom 4. And again, I'm usually just kind of muting out the low E string and even sometimes that A string, that 5th string right below it, so I can kind of strum more freely on it. And then the last chord is a C over E, which, you know, you might not use a ton, but when you do need to use it, it does kind of change the bass note. So for this C over E chord, we're going to get back into our regular C major position. And instead of muting out this low E string with your thumb or your ring finger, we actually want to hear it. Because that C over E, the E is the bass note. So we want to be able to hear it. So on that chord, you'll be strumming literally all 6 strings. So that shows you what strings you should be strumming in the key of C. Super helpful video. I think you're gonna enjoy it. You're gonna learn from it. It's gonna solve maybe some headaches of why does this not sound the way it should be sounding. So if you have questions, you know what to do. Leave a comment, leave a question, head over to the community tab on my page. Leave, you know, drop a comment, say what's up, let me know where you're from. Yeah, you know, hope this helps you guys. If you have questions, as always, let me know. Be happy to help you out. So I'll see you in the next one.